Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. Tonight, we are continuing to read Eragon by Christopher Polini, which is the first book in the inheritance cycle. And it really feels like life just doesn't want me to get through this dramatic reading. Last week, I was sick, I believe. And I think the week before that, I did a review of Dune, the Battle of Corrin, which is one of the prequel books, and it was an exclusive for my Patreon donors. So if you don't see that listed under my review playlist, that's why. So it's like every 3 years, it's like, oh hey, here's another part for this dramatic read. And everyone who's subscribed to my channel because of it, it's like, hey, I'm going to try to improve one of these days. I think next week I'm going to be attempting to figure out a way to do a podcast with someone. So there's probably not going to be a dramatic read next week. So yay. And as always, this video is not intended for kids. It's intended for adults who are discovering or rediscovering the joy that is the inheritance cycle. Okay. This is my bookmark. Yeah. I don't understand actual bookmarks there, so it's like, readers don't use those. They go, hey, here's a scrap of paper or junk. Okay, this is a bookmark now. I don't think I remember really ever using an actual bookmark. What about you? Comment down below if you're one of the odd ones that actually use actual bookmarks. Okay, let's do this. And this video, we actually begin a new chapter called Death Watch. So, definitely very happy stuff going on here. Dreams rolled in Eragon's mind, breeding and living by their own laws. He watched as a group of people on proud horses approached a lonely river. Many had silver hair and carried tall lances. A strange, fair ship waited for them, shining under a bright moon. The figures slowly boarded the vessel. Two of them, taller than the rest, walked arm in arm. Their faces were obscured by cowls, but he could tell that one was a woman. They stood on the deck of the ship and faced the shore. A man stood alone on the pebble beach, the only one who had not boarded the ship. He threw back his head and let out a long, aching cry. As it faded, the ship glided down the river, without a breeze or oars, out into the flat, empty land. The vision clouded, but just before it disappeared, Eragon glimpsed two dragons in the sky. Eragon was first aware of the creaking back and forth, back and forth. The persistent sound made him open his eyes and stare at the underside of a thatched roof. A rough blanket was draped over him, concealing his nakedness. Someone had bandaged his legs and tied a clean rag around his knuckles. He was in a single-room hut. A mortar and pestle sat on a table with bowls and plants. Rows of dried herbs hung from the walls and suffused the air with strong, earthy aromas. Flames writhed inside a fireplace, before which sat a rotund woman in a wicker rocking chair. The town healer, Gertrude, her head lolled, eyes closed, a pair of knitting needles and a ball of wool thread rested in her lap. Though Eragon felt drained of willpower, he made himself sit up. That helped to clear his mind. He sifted through his memories of the last 2 days. His first thought was of Garrow, and his second was of Saphira. I hope she's in a safe place. He tried to contact her, but could not. Wherever she was, it was far from Carvajal. At least Prom got me to Carvajal. I wonder what happened to him. There was all that blood. Gertrude stirred and opened her sparkling eyes. Oh, she said, you're awake. Good. Her voice was rich and warm. How do you feel? Well enough. Where's Garrow? Gertrude dragged the chair close to the bed. Over at Horst's. There was enough room to keep both of you here. And let me tell you, it's kept me on my toes, having to run back and forth, checking to see if the two of you were all right. Eragon swallowed his worries and asked, How, how is he? There was a long delay as she examined her hands. Not good. He has a fever that refuses to break, and his injuries aren't healing. I have to see him. He tried to get up. Not until you eat, she said sharply, pushing him down. I didn't spend all this time sitting by your side so you can get back up and hurt yourself. Half the skin on your legs was torn off, and your fever broke only last night. Don't worry yourself about Garrow. He'll be fine. He's a tough man. Gertrude hung a kettle over the fire, then began chopping parsnips for soup. How long have I been here? 2 full days. 2 days? That meant his last meal had been 4 mornings ago. Just thinking about it made Eragon feel weak. Saphira's been on her own this entire time. I hope she's all right. But the whole town wants to know what happened. They sent men down to your farm and found it destroyed. Eragon nodded. He had expected that. Your barn was burned down. Is that how Garrow was injured? I don't know, said Eragon. I wasn't there when it happened. Well, no matter. I'm sure it'll all get untangled. Gertrude resumed knitting while the soup cooked. That's quite a scar on your palm. He reflexively clenched his hand. Yes. How did you get it? Several possible answers came to mind. He chose the simplest one. I've had it ever since I can remember. I never asked Gara where it came from. Silence remained unbroken until the soup reached a rolling boil. Gertrude poured it in a bowl and handed it to Eragon with a spoon. He accepted it gracefully and took a cautious sip. It was delicious. Now I'm going to take a cautious sip of my water for a moment so I don't lose my voice. Maybe not that cautious of a sip. When he finished, he asked, "Can I visit Garrow now?" Gertrude sighed. "You're a determined one, aren't you?" "Well, if you really want to, I won't stop you. Put on your clothes and we'll go." She turned her back as he struggled into his pants, wincing as they dragged over the bandages and then slipped on his shirt. Gertrude helped him stand. His legs were weak, but they did not pain him like before. "Take a few steps," she commanded, then dryly observed, "At least you won't have to crawl there." And that's how much of the chapter I'm going to be reading today. So I'm actually trying to make myself read more so I get through the book faster, especially since I'm only reading this once a week and not even every week. So, but at the same time, I'm asthmatic and I don't want to ruin my lungs. I mean, Eragon is a great book, but it isn't the whole lose my voice voice good. So I like to find stops in the chapters so that's really feel natural. So, I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, of course I stopped here. So now that gave you behind the scenes look at what I'm doing, how I work. Let's talk about the chapter, shall we? And this chapter, Eragon wakes up from, all the shit that happened last time. And actually, a little bit before that in the chapter is the whole vision. And I can't really help but think about the end of the series now when when I read the vision this time around. And that's not what happens exactly, but there are enough similarities that I'm like, damn. I never noticed this before, so that was actually pretty cool. Like, oh, ta-da. But I can't really talk about what I noticed in that vision without being spoilery. I mean, I like already towing the line there, and yeah, I really want to keep these spoiler free for anyone who's getting into the series for the first time. But anyways, yeah, that happened. And so Eragon wakes up after all the shit that's happened, and he's like, okay, I want to get to Garrow. I'm worried about Saphira. And so Gertrude's like, fuck it. We'll take you to Garrow if you want to, because I see there is really no stopping you. Either I'm going to help you, or you're going to do something extremely stupid, hurt yourself, and see Garrow yourself. Oh, yeah. I think one of the funniest moments right here is when when Eragon is like, I hope Saphira's okay. Saphira is a dragon. Like, she can obviously, like, the only thing she has to worry about are those, the creepy thingy-majigs that we'll learn about what they're called later. But anyways, that's all she really has to fear, and it seems like they probably left town. And so all I'm thinking is he's worrying about this dragon, a fucking dragon, and like, oh, I hope she's okay. I hope she can survive. Dude, dude. I know you've woken up from something very traumatic. You're still being traumatized by the event, but it's a dragon. She can survive probably a week without your help. She can hunt. She doesn't really have to worry about many natural predators. She'll be fine, dude. She will be fine. Okay, that's so. The question for this video is: if you woke up from a similar event that Eragon went through, would one of your things be, I hope this dragon's okay, or not? Or do you side with Eragon on this? Tell me why or why not. Let's start a really nerdy conversation about this. And remember, no major spoilers. I am hoping against hope that people get into the series via these videos, and there are some really big twists and turns. It's like, oh, I think I know this character, and then like a book or two later, it's like, holy shit. So yeah. And if you would like your very own copy of Eragon by Christopher Polini, I have it myself in hardcover, just because I got the last two in hardcover, which means when I went to rebuy the first two, I had to get them in hardcover too, because that's just how I am. I won't go into any more detail about how I decide on hardcover, e-back, or paperbacks. I'll leave that for some other time if you want. But anyways, if you would like your very own copy, everywhere I post this video, I post a link so you can buy this wonderful book. And please remember to like this video if you want to eat soup. I started getting hungry while filming now. Like, oh yeah, soup would sound really nice and easy on my stomach. And I don't know. Yeah, so like this if you're in the mood to eat soup. And also, go ahead, comment down below on what your favorite kind of soup is. And also remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I will eventually read not only Eragon, but the entire inheritance cycle. One of these days I will get my shit together and read all of them. Probably after I get done with my enormous Animorphs dramatic reading, which I am currently on book 10, and there's a little over 50 books in the main series, never mind the extra books. So, it's going to be some time just for me to finish that so I can get to Eragon. And before I focus fully on Eragon, I will want to do a dramatic reading of The Host by Stephanie Meyer. So, subscribe, because I will eventually read entire inheritance cycle by Christopher Polini. I think I could just shorten it to that. Yeah. And I hope you are having an excellent Wednesday. You're doing great as much as you can be. And remember, go outside only when you have to, and remember to wear a mask, because COVID-19 is going on, and it's an actual health situation and not a political situation. But That is a rant for I'll probably never post because I just don't like to get political on here. I like to make it this a nice safe haven for to escape away from, the political and daily stuff so you can relax, recuperate, and then go back out into the world. So, until next video, goodbye.